Okay, your child is smart, right? They can explain what they're supposed to do. Their grades are probably pretty good. They even know they need to start the homework, right? They know they need to get ready for school, to put the phone down, use a planner, follow steps, stop arguing, or just do the thing. And then some days they can, but other days it's just like their brain just will not let them move. They freeze and fight you. They shut down and avoid. They sometimes completely melt down. And you're standing there thinking, if they knew how to do it, why can't they just do it? And that question is where this whole conversation has to start. Because for a lot of neurodivergent kids, what looks like an executive function problem is often also a serious nervous system problem. And if we miss that, we keep throwing strategies at a kid who is already in survival mode. So in this video, I want to help you understand the difference between a child who doesn't have a skill and a child who cannot access the skill in that moment. Because that difference, it changes everything. Hi, I'm Tara. I'm a certified autism specialist. I'm a social emotional learning specialist and founder of To Be Social. I'm also an author of What Your Autistic Child Wishes You Knew. I've been working with families for over 25 years, with neurodivergent kids, teens, young adults, especially when the behavior on the outside is being misunderstood. And the real issue underneath is the nervous system. It's overwhelmed. It has social pressure, demand stress, anxiety, burnout, or a child who just does not have access to the skills in that moment. So let's talk about executive function, because we're hearing an awful lot right now about the executive function crisis in kids. And yes, it is real. Kids are struggling to start tasks. They're struggling to manage time, to stay organized, handle schoolwork, shift gears, control their impulses, and then even follow through or initiate tasks. But I want to say something that I don't think we're talking about enough. For many neurodivergent kids, many, this is not just an executive function crisis. It's a nervous system crisis, because you cannot teach, and listen carefully, you cannot teach executive function skills to a child whose body is already living in threat mode. And this is where so many parents get stuck, because from the outside, it looks like the child won't do a thing. They won't start their homework. They won't get ready for school. They won't stop arguing. They won't put the phone down. They won't follow the steps. They won't use the strategies everybody has already taught them. Sound familiar? But underneath all of that, we have to really ask a better question. Here's the question. Is this child regulated enough to access the skill that they already have to do all those things? Because there is a difference between a kid who does not have the skill and a child who cannot access that skill in the moment. That difference matters. And for a lot of autistic kids, ADHD kids, PDA-profile kids, anxious kids, and kids who have been masking all day, well, their nervous system is already maxed out before we ever ask them to do the thing, the little thing. So we call it an executive function problem. And sometimes it is. But sometimes it is also anxiety. It is sensory overload. It is demand stress. It is burnout. It is social exhaustion. It is shame. Sometimes it is a child whose body has learned, I don't feel safe here and I cannot handle one more thing. I need to protect myself right now. That's what's happening subconsciously. And this is why we kind of have to zoom out, because it is not just executive function. We're also seeing school avoidance and kids who cannot get through the school doors, or they make it through the day and they fall apart the second they get home. We are seeing bigger reactions, longer shutdowns, and more meltdowns. More kids who look like they are overreacting when really their system is just overwhelmed. We are seeing so much loneliness. Kids are connected online all day, but so many of them still feel misunderstood and rejected, or like they don't have a safe place to just be themselves, except for at home. And we are seeing screen battles. But for many kids, the screen is not just entertainment, okay? It has become their regulation tool, their escape, their control, their place where the world feels predictable. And we are seeing burnout, especially with neurodivergent kids. They are just exhausted from trying to keep up and fit in and hold it together and perform. They mask, they manage sensory input, they manage social expectations all day and meet demands that their nervous system was never actually supported through. So yes, executive function matters, but executive function is not the whole story. And this is where I think we really have to be honest. We cannot keep treating nervous system distress like bad behavior. We cannot keep throwing strategies at kids who are already in survival mode. We cannot keep telling parents, be consistent, set the boundary, follow through. Don't let them get away with it, without also helping that parent understand what is happening underneath the behavior. Because if the child's body is in fight, flight, freeze, or shutdown, they are not sitting there calmly choosing not to use their planner. They are not calmly choosing to ruin the morning. They are not calmly choosing to avoid school. Their system is just saying, I cannot do this right now. And if we miss that, we keep pushing the wrong solution. And moms feel this. They know something more is going on. They'll say, I know my kid is smart. I know they can do this sometimes. I know they know better. So why can't they just do it? And that question is where everything starts to change. Because the answer might not be, hey, they need more motivation. It might be, they need more regulation. It also might be, they need less pressure before more skill building. And it might be, they need safety before strategy. They need connection before correction. One of my favorites. And it might be that you, as the parent, need someone to help you decode what is actually happening, because you have been handed behavior strategies for a nervous system problem. So, here's the message I want parents to hear today. Your child may need executive function support. They may need help with planning and organizing and starting and shifting and following through. But those skills are all built on regulation, because regulation, is really what gives the brain access to those skills that they're learning. So when the nervous system is overwhelmed, the brain is not in its best learning state. Agreed with me? Okay, the brain is not flexible when it's under that kind of nervous system pressure. It's not organized. It's not thinking long term. What it's doing is it's protecting. And when we understand that, we stop asking, how do I make my child do this? And then we start asking, what is getting in the way of my child being able to access this? That is a completely different question. With me? All right. Then it leads to completely different support. This is the work I do with parents inside a different kind of parenting. We look underneath the behavior. We decode what is really happening. We look at the nervous system, the pressure points, the demands, the patterns, and the parent response, your response versus your reaction. Because once you understand what is actually driving the behavior, you stop throwing random strategies at the wall. I know you have them all, right? So then you start responding with clarity. And that is when things can finally begin to shift. If this is really what you're living with at home, you can definitely learn more about my work at To Be Social. And you'll find there in the parent support section, my capacity reset intensive, which is a one-off, one-to-one, virtual, intense support for mom. This is where you can help see your child differently. And if this resonates with you, subscribe so you don't miss more of these great videos.